It happened again. Philadelphia 76ers absolutely fall apart in the third quarter. Why does this keep happening? We'll try to figure it out in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, Marjon made his debut last night, so we'll talk about that. Tyrese Maxey in the three-point contest, some not-so-great advice that he may have gotten from some teammates on that one. And, wow. We have talked we've referenced it a couple of times, Keith. 76ers getting blown out by the Charlotte Hornets a couple of weeks ago, about a week, 2.5 weeks ago, maybe. And then here they are last night. They didn't get blown out by 25 points this time in the third quarter, Keith. They got blown out by 27 points. They allowed 49 points in the third quarter by the Blazers, Keith. The Sixers won the first quarter by 2 points, lost the second quarter by a point. Coming to the third quarter, it's like they had never played basketball before in their life. I got to go back to like the process years when the third quarter was this much of a problem for them. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this where it's one consistent problem time and time again?
No, but at least they're consistent, right? I mean, if you want to say something. I mean,
right.
Nah, I haven't. I mean, the problem is like teams make adjustments and the 76ers don't. And then it takes them a quarter to try to figure stuff out. But on nights like tonight is a little bit too late, right? But, I mean, it just seems like, well, first of all, I think a lot of the third quarter issues were a problem, but it just seems like they were giving up 3-point shot after 3-point shot. You know, they got guys hitting raining threes on them. And the scouting report against this team is a little simple. It's like, okay, they attempt the most threes in the league, but they're also the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. You know what I mean? They shot 33.9% on threes. Well, they shot 40% yesterday. And the thing is, we're talking about just the third quarter, but it could have been worse. They were resting starters in the fourth, talking about Portland. So, yeah, it was an ugly loss. I mean, these third quarter woes keep popping up, but the 76ers need to find some answers because it happens every loss.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, yesterday you had even mentioned your concern about it being one of those getaway days where they just had, they're at the end of the road trip. They might already be looking at a big game coming up on Wednesday night at 7:30 against the Knicks in South Philly. So maybe they're looking ahead of it. And then you look at the game itself. No Quentin Grimes. All right. No Dom Barlow. All right. No Joel Embiid for knee injury management. And it was going to be up to Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre and VJ Edgecombe. And Maxey had 30. Okay. Not really a lot going on there in that third quarter, unfortunately. And not just Maxey, but everybody. Kelly Oubre had a good first half, not so much at all in the second half. And VJ Edgecombe last night, I don't even remember what he finished, but he finished with 11 points on 3 of 13 shooting.
Yeah.
This games like this, Keith, I don't fault Sixers fans for going into it when you see such a shortened rotation, essentially, because you want to, all right, hey, maybe this is the game VJ picks it up. Maybe this is the game Kelly Oubre goes on. Trenton Watford was in your starting lineup, and like I said earlier, started out all right, but then everything, along with not just Watford, but everybody, not just Maxey, but everybody, not just Oubre, but everybody hit the fan, unfortunately, hit the wall, I should say, in that third quarter. Nobody was able to step up offensively or defensively for the 76ers really throughout the game, but obviously after halftime especially.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You're talking about throughout the game. Like, here's the thing about the 76ers, and it's weird. And, like, we talked about this yesterday where we expected them to win, but I also said, but remember, this is one of those games where you figure they're going to win. You think they're going to win, and they lose. So the thing, every time the 76ers seem to be on the right path, injuries and or illness pop up. And that's exactly what happened. Like you talked about Joel Embiid with the knee soreness. You talk about Grimes and you talk about Barlow with the illness, right? So when we look at this, we found out something about your 76ers, folks. They're no longer one of the deepest teams in the NBA. So you think about this. In addition to having those three guys not play, right? Paul George is serving a suspension, right? Jabari Walker ran out of two-way minutes, right? You traded Jared McCain and Eric Gordon, who were your next two men up. So what that did, and for a guard spot. So what that forced the 76ers to do is to play Kyle Lowry first quarter minutes. He played 18 games last night. And, Kyle Lowry is a future Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist, NBA champion, the whole night. Yep. But he's 39 years old. So when we look at this, we're saying to ourselves, like, Sixers got problems now when it comes down to depth. And that's what it was. And it was like, the third quarter they fell apart. But to me, it was a little bit shaky from the start just because of the rotation and the lineups they had to go with. You're like, he really doesn't play that much. And then you look at Marjon Bochamp. He had to play. So it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. You mentioned Kyle Lowry's 17 minutes or 18 minutes that he played last night. There was one other stat that blew me away, and it has to do with the rebounding aspect of this game because, again, talk about third quarter problems rearing their ugly head again for the Sixers. Rebounding issues reared their ugly head again for the Sixers. Sixers were out-rebounded last night, 51-33 on the glass, 20-8 on the offensive side of things alone. So 20-8, they were out-rebounded on the offensive glass. Adem Bona, in 17 minutes, had more fouls than rebounds. He had one rebound, Keith, all night long.
Yeah,
that's hard to do, actually. That's hard. If you're like over 6'7", that's hard to do, playing 17 minutes and only get one rebound. That's difficult. I saw a lot of fans calling out Nick Nurse last night on social media, saying this is on him. Look, I always look at a coach when a team doesn't look like they're ready to play. Throughout the season, they certainly haven't looked like they've been ready to play at the start of the second half. He joked earlier in the year that he's like, maybe we just convince ourselves that it's only the start of the game and not the third quarter. Okay, haha. But still, same problem all season long. And after the game, Nick Nurse talked about energy. He talked about, they were just basically out energy. I forget the word he used, but it was like they just had more energy in that third quarter is what he was alluding to. How does that happen? Look, end of the road trip, fine. But when this is constantly a problem, how does a team not lock in? How does a coach not get them to lock in? And look, I'm not expecting them to win the third quarter, but put up a fight. For crying out loud, they're down 50 at one point to the Hornets, thanks to the way they played in the third quarter. And then they come out last night, and again, they allow 49 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's one of those things. You're talking about how do they get better? How do you change it? You got to address it. Like, you got to, if you know that you struggle on rebounding and you don't want to play Andre Drummond. And look, last night, Andre Drummond played and he didn't help him with the rebounding thing. So you would think, no offense, but you would think that that's a priority at the trade deadline, right? So what you want to do is you want to go out there and get somebody who can rebound or do stuff like that. You don't take one of your scorers off the bench and get rid of them, but you don't bring in anything else, right? So that's how you address it. Now they're going to be forced to try to address it in the buyout market. Okay, another thing that probably could have happened. Everyone on the team played yesterday who was healthy, besides Charles Bassey. The one thing we do know about Charles Bassey, when he was in the NBA, when he was playing for the Sixers and when he was playing for the Spurs, stuff like that, was he was a quality rebounder. Last night, you had nothing else to lose, man. That could have been a prime example to say, you know what? Let's see what this dude can do because we are getting destroyed. And you are correct. I mean, they almost had, at one point, the opposing team had close to just as many offensive boards than the Sixers had total rebounds at one point in the game. So to me, we talk about how do you address it. I mean, you gotta switch stuff up. You gotta see what you got. You have to. You have to see what you have on this roster, and you got to upgrade it. And they didn't do it. It was like, I remember once we had these people that come over the house, and they like we had like water damage in the basement a little bit, like a little flooding. So these people come over, and they like, okay, we can fix it for you. We can do all this. We can do that. And it sounded like really, really cheap. So my wife and I, we were like, okay, so what all are you going to do? And the guy said, oh, we're just going to tear it down. So I said, oh, well, bruh, like we need more than just the wall taken down. We need somebody to put the wall up. Oh, we didn't know that. Well, what the Sixers did is they basically took away from their roster, but they didn't build it back up. So you understand what I'm saying? It's like something that they got to get this corrected. And now you have to do it through the buyout market. You got to see, it's just, if you're contending for a championship or you want to contend for a championship, this ain't the time to do stuff like that. You got to have pieces, especially when everyone else does. This is a bad loss, bro. As much as they wanted to hype up the Portland Trail Blazers and people were hyping them up after the loss, nah, that was a horrible loss.
So I just want to go back to something, the trade deadline. So you're suggesting maybe get better at the trade deadline and not worse? I mean, Keith, that just seems crazy. Are you okay? I know we're doing an earlier show today, but good Lord, man.
Man, yeah. I mean, don't kill me, don't shoot me.
That's all right.
They got worse, dude. Like, I mean, no, and I love Kyle, but when I saw him come out in the first quarter, that was like one of my fears. It's like, see, they got rid of two guards that one of them barely played, talking about Eric Gordon, but he was on top of Kyle when it came down to the rotation at times, right? So it's just, it was bad. It was bad.
It's not good. It's certainly not good. All right. When we come back, I know some people were waiting to see Bochamp get out there. He got out there last night. We'll talk about his night. We'll also talk about Tyrese Maxey getting in the three-point contest. All that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers. Back after this. And right now, it's time to tell you about ZocDoc. ZocDoc's fantastic. I'm feeling a little under the weather. You might be able to hear it in my voice. Maybe I should be making an appointment on ZocDoc. Finding a doctor can actually, it can be tough. It's like finding a diamond in the rough sometimes. And sure, you want someone who's in network, someone who's nearby, and someone who has availability, but you also want a doctor who listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly. That kind of doctor exists, and you can find them on ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering 200 specialties with primary care and dentistry and dermatology as well as eye care. I'll admit, definitely can be tough to find a doctor, but ZocDoc makes the process so simple. You can search by specialty or by symptoms that you're experiencing and actually build a care team that works for you. You can also read verified patient reviews so you feel confident choosing a doctor that you actually like. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA and instantly find and book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Oh, and how about Wayfair? Come on now. I've told you guys plenty of times over the holidays. Upgraded the look of the house, the dining room, nice new curtains, right? Now you want to do that? You got spring around the corner. It's going to be here, believe it or not. It's actually coming. We might hit 40 today, folks, in the Philadelphia area. Probably 36. But anyway, it's going to feel like 40. It's going to feel like 70, actually. You know what? But you want to be outside. You want to be enjoying the yard sooner rather than later. And you want to make sure that the yard is looking fantastic. And that's where Wayfair comes in. Patio pieces, new patio furniture, lawn chairs, all that great stuff, setups, pergolas. Oh, Wayfair's got it all. It's the new year, so embrace Wayfair. Wayfair is everything you need from full home refresh, all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing the space outside, upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair has huge selection that makes it easy to find exactly what works for you and your style and your budget on Wayfair. Picked up some new bedding recently as well over the holidays. Had to have the guests comfortable when they're coming to crash at Casa de Farzetta. You know what I'm saying? So get organized, refresh all the areas of your house, including your backyard, and get back on track this new year for way less with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now and shop all things home. That's Wayfair, Wayfair, wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And, of course, the Everydayer Club, very important, especially when you check out Locked On 76ers and ad-free episodes when you sign up to be a part of the Everydayer Club. And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And we thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network out there. Here's what you get. Access to ad-free audio of Locked On 76ers compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You can invite members only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes group chats for listeners to talk about all things 76ers. So go to lockedon76ers.supercast.com. That's lockedon76ers.supercast.com. You can also find the link in the show notes below. Keith Pompey covering your 76ers for damn near a decade and a half. Inquirer.com. Marc Farzetta, veteran Philly sports talker with you. Keith, good Lord. Marjon Bochamp, 20 minutes last night, gets you 10 points, 3 of 7 from the floor, knocked down a 3. Actually had 4 rebounds in total last night, 1 on the offensive glass. What'd you make of his 76ers debut last night?
I mean, here's the deal. I mean, Bochamp is an NBA player, right? He's just a guy who Doc Rivers came to Milwaukee and was like, yo, I'm not playing these young dudes. And then next thing you know, Bochamp was out of the rotation, right? Or then he basically was gone. So I think he's a good player. My only thing is I want to see him play a couple more games, right? Because no offense to Marjon, no offense to everything that went down yesterday, but it was a lopsided game, right? So typically when I look at stats in the blowout, it's kind of like watching a player get 30 points on a team that's tanking, right?
Right.
So
right.
No offense, no offense to Marjon. I felt like he played well, but if we want to be honest and we want to be real with it, he had 0 points in the first half on 0 for 2 shooting. He missed his 1 3-pointer. He did have 1 rebound. He had 3 assists, and he was a -2, right? So, you know what I mean? The game, we all knew that the game was over essentially in the third quarter, right? So what he did is in the second half, he was balling. But again, the game was over. So, it's hard for me to basically say, I know people are raving over him. He had 10 points. He shot 3 for 5 in the second half. He had 3 steals. But, bruh, come on, man. I got to see it again. Now, again, he is an NBA player, and I'm not knocking him. But right. I'm not ready to anoint him to say, yeah, Marjon Bochamp should take Quentin Grimes' spot and be the 6th man. I got to see what he does. Do that against the Knicks in a competitive game with the Knicks. Do that against, another team, and then maybe I'll be like, all right, we got something here.
Yeah. I don't like after a game like this, people talking about him like he's some kind of savior and all that. But I would like to see the test. Present him with the test. Like you're saying, if you're Nick Nurse, all right, you know what? Go ahead. Let's get some minutes against the Knicks and see how you fare. Let's see in the third quarter be that spark when everybody else is terrible and nobody can throw the ball into the ocean and no one can stop the Blazers from shooting 41%, in this game in particular. Be the guy that looks like he could be a cure-all later on. Be the guy that's going to be that spark. Because, look, for all the issues we could talk about ad nauseum when it comes to the third quarter, Bochamp hasn't been a part of that. He hasn't been here for that. I mean, literally his debut yesterday. Be a guy that is going to capitalize on that opportunity for yourself. But before that even happens, you need to see Nick Nurse give him that opportunity. And if I'm Nick Nurse, I'm looking at this squad that has struggled all season long in the third quarter and saying, all right, Marjon, be a difference maker. I'm not saying you got to go out there and drop 20 in the quarter or anything ridiculous like that, but try to find a way to stop the momentum that other team is building up and find a way to swing it back in our direction. Little tests like that. Give him an opportunity against the Knicks. Let him get his feet back under him. Maybe this was that game where you try to let him get his feet back under him. And then you can let him go out there against the Knicks and see if he can get you another 10 points. See if he can get you 5 rebounds. See if you give him that opportunity. Now, you're probably going to have more of a full roster. Don Barlow, hopefully feeling better. Quentin Grimes, hopefully back out there. Joel Embiid. One would think the reason he got off last night wasn't just soreness, but also, hey, we want to make sure he is 100% full go for this game coming up here against the Knicks on Wednesday. Maybe that's more of the case, but he should have more to work with. But if given a chance, let Bochamp go in there and really get an opportunity when it actually matters for him to show that he is still very much an NBA player. That's the way I think Nick Nurse should play it. Yeah,
but here's the one thing about the whole Joel Embiid situation. So the 76ers, they had this game tonight. If Joel Embiid would have came out and played, let's just say if it wasn't just a rest thing, and I get it, you want to give him a rest night.
Sure.
But bruh, you play on Monday, you play against the Knicks on Wednesday, and then you're off for a week.
Right.
A week. Even if Joel Embiid played in the All-Star game, if he was like a last-minute replacement, how many minutes do you expect? Like, the games are only going to be 12-minute games. So how many minutes do you actually expect Joel Embiid to play? I'd give it 6, if that, right? So my thing is, like, you got to know how important this stuff is right now. You're locked into a race, and you want to be, ideally, you would love to be maybe, like, if it was me, I want to keep winning and winning till I could get up to a number 3 seed, possibly.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can't have these bad losses, man. You just can't. Like, the Sixers, this might have been the 4th or 5th loss that they had this season where you say to yourself, they had no business losing whatsoever. And those things keep racking up, and the next thing you know, they're battling to stay out the play-in tournament. Play Joel. Now again, if his knee was really bothering him, something like that, I understand it. But if it wasn't, and you just want to rest, play him, then play him again on Wednesday, and then look, bro, you got a whole week to rest up. We're not bothering you until the day before the game. We'll ask you to practice and ask you to practice lightly.
On that point, Sixers right now are in the play-in, or excuse me, out of the play-in tournament. They're the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They are 2.5 games up on the Orlando Magic as of right now. They are 9.5 games in total out of first place behind the Detroit Pistons, who had a fist fight last night in Charlotte. I was thinking of you, actually, Keith, when I saw those highlights. I'm like, that's the fight Keith's talking about, man.
I'm telling you, them dudes are crazy. Look, man, I keep telling people, and I mean this with no disrespect, but to me, when I remember the first time they came to Philly, I told somebody, yo, that's the Richard Allen All-Stars right there, talking about the Richard Allen projects, right? Talking about these dudes get after it, right? And then they have a couple of coaches. I said, yo, y'all don't know anything about Philly, but look up the Richard Allen projects. And one dude looked it up, one coach, and I said, y'all got the Richard Allen All-Stars. Yo, these dudes are grimy.
You have educated me on such, so I appreciate that. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Tyrese Maxey, what he's got going on, and the advice that he got. Not great, Keith. Not great advice. We'll talk about that when we return when it comes to the three-point contest with Tyrese Maxey. All that and more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. And now it's time to tell you about TurboTax. 'Tis the season to talk about taxes. I know, right? Let's have a party. TurboTax is what you need because you want to get back to your real life. You want to get back to having fun. You want to get back to enjoying life. TurboTax helps you do that by taking care of your taxes. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out the forms, you can meet with a local tax expert from TurboTax in person or connect online for everything from W-2s to self-employed forms as well, and work to get every deduction. That's what TurboTax can do for you. And for a limited time, you can have Turbo take care of your taxes by an expert for $1 per for just $150 all in. And a TurboTax expert didn't file your taxes last year. Just file by February 28th. You got 18 days. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life, back to having a good time. And trust that TurboTax is taking care of your taxes. Visit TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. TurboTax.com/local. Apparently, so Tyrese Maxey gets named to the not just starter for the All-Star game, as we all know by now, but also to take part in the three-point contest in this day and age in the NBA where everyone's chucking up threes, Keith. A huge honor for Tyrese Maxey. Kyle Lowry and Paul George apparently gave him advice on what to do. It's not the best advice, Keith, but I want to get your take on it as an experienced veteran that you are. Don't airball your first shot. That was the advice. According to Tyrese Maxey, he told Kate Scott on NBC Sports Philly, don't airball your first shot. The minute someone tells you not to do something like that is generally when that actually happens. What do you think? Is that just ball breaking? What is that from the veterans on this team?
You know, it's funny because when that happened, I want to know because I wonder, and it's funny you bring it up because after when I heard that, I was like, did both of those guys participate in the 3-point contest once before, and did both of them hit an air ball? You know what I mean? Like, yes. You know, is that what happened? I mean, or you assuming this? Huh?
I was thinking, I was like, did Paul George ever participate in the 3-point? Did Kyle like nothing from them nothing jumped to mind with them. That's why I jumped to, oh, they're just messing with them. Like it's like it's like the classic line, like, don't think about elephants. Boom, all of a sudden you start thinking about elephants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, like, let's keep it 100. It's one of those things. It's not like the 3-point contest is not like the slam dunk contest where you say, okay, let's get some strategy. Okay, let's come out and make this dunk or do this. Nah, the whole thing is like, hey, I can see people saying, have all your medicine balls or special balls like in one rack or do some other stuff. Outside from that, I don't want to hear anything anybody has to say. Only thing is like, yes. You know what I mean? Just tell me good luck and get out of the way. But it's weird how, to me, no one really, like, we're looking at this and they have like 2 centers participating in this slam dunk contest. Like, come on now. Like, like as much as I love seeing Dwight Howard and all that and stuff like that, and because he was an athletic dude, no one really wants to see a center in a slam dunk contest. At least I don't, right? I'm sorry, I don't, right? But at the same time, it just seems like it's all about nowadays is all about the 3-point contest. That's all it is. And I wish that they would do everything. Like the skills thing is trash to me, right? It just is. I
always thought that was weird.
Yeah, it's just like, huh? Like, and so now it's like the main thing is the 3-point contest, but it's I don't know. I'm not really into it. I'm not really into the all-star stuff anymore.
Yeah, I neither am I. To me, they should just do what the former MTV used to do. Rest in peace, MTV. Rock and Jock, man. Bring back Rock and Jock. Bring back the 25-point line or the 25-point spot. That's what they need to do to put some life back. Just mix the celebrities in with the athletes. That's the way I think they should do it. It's the only thing that would make it interesting, unfortunately. But either way, look, I also thought about something you said earlier in the year, and that was just about the marketability of Tyrese Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
Kids getting more shine, man. Kids getting more shine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's Madison Avenue more for him. It's funny. I'm glad that he got a New Balance commercial, too.
That's right.
I used to always use the old one, so now I'm looking at it like, okay, this is new. Go ahead, Tyrese. Go ahead.
Do your thing. His name is Keith Pompey. Make sure you guys are reading him on Inquirer.com, following him on all social media platforms as well. Good news is the Sixers will not blow a third quarter at all tonight because they don't play. They're back at it tomorrow night, 7:30, when they return home from the 3-2 road trip out on the West Coast. They got the New York Knicks coming up tomorrow night in South Philly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Also across all Locked On platforms, now the #1 podcast, sports podcast network out there. For Keith Pompey, I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.